Hey, how you doing? This is a van conversion for Transit Custom. This is 2014, and me and my friend Craig and me, Phil, are converting the van. Going to go to the Alps, so we're insulating it with approx 30mm insulation, 30mm Celotex, and maybe 100mm eco fibre on the walls. We've stripped out the van totally, so the plastic lining is removed. All the timber panels have been removed. On the archways, timber panels on the side. So it's basically a skeleton now, and we're just about to attach the timber battens. The timber battens are treated, and they are 25mm by 50mm, and we will be gluing them with adhesive to the metal in a kind of lattice framework. Once we've got part of the lattice up, we'll continue videoing on the next section. So adios for now.
Stay tuned.
Okay, I'm just about to install the first piece of insulation stroke vapor barrier. I've cut it to size, and it's going in just in this section here on the left hand side. I'm going to be using an adhesive which is heavy duty spray adhesive. I haven't used it yet, but hopefully it'll be okay. You can buy this insulation with like a sticky back on the reverse already that you just peel off, but I'm going to see how I get on with this first. I just temporarily laid a floor just so I can work off it, which I just laid on top of the timber battens. So just about to install the first piece, so see how it goes. Okay, so I've got the insulation in those cavities. I found the best way was to actually spray the metal first, then lay the insulation on the top. I haven't got a lot of wastage, only those small pieces there, but I've done a bit of patchwork right inside, and any areas that might have missed on the when I install the large pieces. I think I'm going to carry on with this adhesive and the insulation roll there and just use that up, and then see how I feel once I've used it all up, because it's going okay, it's just really fiddly. These are the tools I'm using. Tape measure, Sharpie, that's quite a handy pen to use on the insulation to mark it up. Scissors and the glue, and these gloves. Gloves are really handy so you don't get it all over your skin. Now the external skin foil insulation has been applied to all the areas. This is the sliding door I'm showing you now, so that's the upper section. This is the lower section. All the wires there. Bit of a fiddly job. There's a lot of cutting involved there to the external skin. I'm now installing the 100mm eco wool, which is going into the gap in between the inner skin and the external skin. So just starting that now. We've now installed the thin foil-backed insulation that kind of acts as a vapor barrier as well. That's in all the external panels, the external faces of the van, as you can see, on the wheel arches, all on the floor. I've just put those slats in temporary, those wooden slats, just to have a base to stand on at the moment. The tools and kit I've been using for the foil backed insulation, this stuff, I've used Evo stick multi-purpose impact contact adhesive, which is pretty good. I've got a torch, which is handy for getting to the areas right underneath, just to see properly, especially if you're just working in the sort of semi-darkness, if it's getting dark in the evening or whatever. Scissors, they're handy for cutting the eco wool and the foil insulation. Also, this spoon's quite handy for just prodding up into the cavities. Penknife, again cutting the eco wool. This marker pen is just a Posca pen. It's really handy for marking on this stuff, and tape measure, and also a bit of polycell foam polyfiller. I've been installing that in the little areas on the floor where there's a gap in between the van and the timber battens. I've also installed it in the little pockets here where it's really hard to access in the insulation, so I've shoved in some of the polyfiller into these areas here. Also at the base of the door, I just thought it would be a really good idea on top of the insulation, this silver insulation, to put the polyfiller right at the bottom, just for added insulation. I've packed the whole bottom half of the door, because it's such a thick cavity, with eco wool, 100mm, squashed it in all over. I've used that because it's malleable, it's usable around awkward areas and also around the wire work as well. The polythene you can see on top of it was in the van when I bought it, so I've put it back in. I'll probably put some breather holes in there just to allow all that to breathe inside there. As you can see above, put the insulation up there, and on the other area at the back on the doors, done the same, and the bottom eco wool where all the wires are, and there's a big cavity. I'll do the same on that other door there. As you can see, those top panels on the door are done, just the external skin insulation stroke vapor barrier. Again at the top, at the bottom here, again external skin. I've put the silver foil insulation, the thin insulation, and I'll stick an eco wool in those areas because there's wire in there and it's really hard to get at. Also probably eco wool in that section there, which is the driver's side sort of front lower panel. I found the easiest way to get into these small areas, the awkward areas, with this insulation is to measure it out first, and do a small area at a time, particularly around this door section. I probably did about 10-12 small different sections, and I placed them in loosely without any glue, made sure they fitted roughly right, and then I sprayed one little area, applied the full insulation to that little area. So yeah, bit at a time with the glue, and then gradually apply it once you've got the foil insulation in place. So that's the end of part one. That's the lining to the walls and the insulation to the walls. That's the end of part one. Part two, we're going to start going onto the floor and the roof, and more insulation and lining to the walls. So catch you then. See ya.